Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Teas. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Teas at dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Hi guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Earnest James. And on my podcast, my guests and I discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. So check out our podcast. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or even on Audible. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel at Deal to Heal with E. James Podcast. Until then, see you soon. Hey, welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and we believe that the relationship between a father and a daughter is one of the most important relationships in a woman's life. Therefore, our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and to give our love and support to all of our dads and their daughters. If you haven't already, make sure you guys listen, like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Make sure you follow us on all of your social media platforms. And I'm going to tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast, but you got to stay until the end of the episode in order to get that information. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed to our YouTube channel. We actually share a YouTube channel with our partner podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. So go to YouTube, go to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, and subscribe to that channel. And you'll also get the Girl Dad Discussions podcast there in our playlist where you can watch the podcast. All right. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest. Again, I am Earnest. First of all, I am your host. I don't think I ever said that since we've been recording. I just assume everybody know who I am. But I am Earnest James. I am your host of the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. And today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Mr. Jonathan Mayo. How you doing, sir?
I'm fine, sir. I'm fine.
Yes. So first of all, let me say thank you for being on, because you could have been doing anything else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. And I wanted to let you know that. So, Jonathan, do me a favor. Introduce yourself to my listeners and tell us who you are and a little bit about what you do.
I'm Jonathan Mayo. I'm a dad, first of all, a man of God. I'm a man of faith. I'm a barber by trade. I got a couple of businesses I got going on, and it's been a journey, but I'm rocking out, man. It's been a good season, man. I'm the best version of myself, I could say that. And my daughter she brought some light to my life, and we've done some things together. So yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm very excited. I appreciate you bringing me up here. That's what I can say, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
No problem, man. I love having this conversation with girl dads. I know I was sharing a little bit with you before we started recording how I even got into this space. It's by me realizing that every woman that I had ever talked to, and as far as relationship wise, was a fatherless daughter. And so I became a fatherless daughter advocate. And Also after having my own daughter, and dealing with some things in that space of the effects of fatherlessness,
Yeah.
so to kind of combat against that, I started this podcast, as the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, because there are fathers out here that are very active in the lives of our daughters, and I wanted to, share our voices and promote that. So, do me a favor, Jonathan. First of all, what is your daughter's name, and how many do you have? Let me say that too.
My daughter name is Imani, and I have one.
One, okay. So my daughter's name is Ashanti. I have one also. And she's a big girl, like she's 20 at the time of we're recording this, so she's a big girl. She's not, I would say she's not a baby anymore, but she's still my baby, right?
Yeah. My daughter, she's 8 years old, man. She's 8. So, yeah. She's like 8 going on 28,
Right, right,
38, 48, all the eights. I don't know, but
right.
yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. How did you even find out that you were going to be a dad?
Um, like me and my ex-wife at the time, we was together. We was I don't know, it just happened. Like it wasn't planned or nothing. It just happened. It was like, well, we pregnant. I then when we found out it was a girl, I was like, oof, I don't know how I was gonna go about this stuff. But I was still excited though, because I already knew my plan. Like I said I'm gonna make sure she be the my man goes like she gonna be a daddy's girl. That's just what it was.
Right.
Like I yeah, I just seen certain situations and I just knew I want to be the best dad I could be. Hopefully, it just happened to be a girl, so I was like, okay, all right, let's go, let's get it. So
Okay. So is that the only child you have? Just your
yeah,
daughter?
yeah, it's my
Okay.
daughter.
Okay, cool, cool. So, one of the things that I ask, is as fathers, we're always teaching, our daughters. But what is something that your daughter has taught you even now?
Ooh, that's a good question. She's taught me patience, how to like love though, like with my be in tune with my more of my emotion and being aware of things and observing. Like I've
Mhm.
observed a lot dealing with her and yeah, just observing a lot, like how to maneuver in different situations and she has really taught me like she kind of like helped me grow up too in a way. Not saying like I was very immature, but like how to really show up and be there for her and through conflict and obstacles and adversity. And we were very close to the point she just it's like that girl, she know me. It's weird.
Yeah,
She know me. I'm like, yo, like we had situations where we be in certain situations when we're in places and it might be another female or whatever, and they'll say something. She just step right in like she my whole woman, but she not. It's like, why? How did you know? How you say that? And in my head, I'm like, she kind of right. Well, I didn't say that though, but yeah,
yeah, yeah.
to be
So
that
how
connection with her.
yeah, so how was your relationship with her just as a newborn? Like how was that experience with you as being a new father? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? But then you got this newborn, child. How was that whole experience for you?
It was that was exciting. Like it was very exciting because, like I said, I wanted her to be a daddy's girl. So it was like I was holding her, I was doing everything. I would held her, get her. I would nurture. Look, I felt like I was more the woman. I just couldn't breastfeed, but I felt like I wanted to do everything. Like she dropping everything. I'm taking care. Like I was just like, yo, that was just. I told him I was gonna tell her mom. I said, you go to work, I'll stay home. Like
Right.
that's how it was for me. That's how it was. I was like, I want to be very involved in stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and I know I know we with myself, my daughter was a daddy's girl, so everywhere I went, I mean, she was with me, even as an infant, carrying her, because at that time, me and her mom worked on different shifts. So I worked days and she worked nights. And so when my off days or once I got home from work, like she was with me like all the time, so she definitely was a daddy's girl and still is, even as an adult,
Yeah.
it don't change too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Except they don't be around, but the pockets, they still hit them pockets the same.
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
That's real. That's real.
yeah, so as being a girl dad, first of all, just tell me, in your own words, just like what does it mean for you to be a girl dad? Because like I know you said, you wanted to definitely show up for her in the right way, you know what I mean, and you wanted her to be a daddy's girl. When soon as you find out that's what it was, like, all right, she gonna be a daddy's girl. So
Yeah.
just now as a father and being a girl dad, what does that mean to you, just in your own words of how you view that?
Being a girl dad is like showing her how a man should treat her, how a man should love her, how he should care for her, and how he should just show up as a man in general. Because I want to be an example for so I want to be an example for her, so she'll be able to be her, but also not alter who she's supposed to be. Because I'm the example for her to be um, who she needs to be, but also what to look for in men, like whether they're abusive or whether they're not taking care of her. So for me, the bar gonna be high, so she won't just get into any and everything. And especially when it comes to like the attention, if I'm telling her, like, I even do this with her now. I do affirmations with her. I pray with her. I tell her she's beautiful, so she'll do affirmations with me. I do affirmations, I speak over her, but also I tell her you're beautiful, you're kind, you're loving. So she'll know these things. So when men do come, they're like, man, my dad already told me that. And then even when she have events, I bring her flowers, so they'd already be accustomed. She already accustomed to it. So when they do show up or try to do these things, it's like my dad already do that. So that's nothing new. So you really got to raise the bar now. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
also even when it comes to communication, like me and her talk, even though she's 8, but I talk to her in a way that she understands that she's like, okay, men can communicate and they can be emotional, but not like in a way of like they're weak, you know what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
still show up that way. So she see that side of me too. And of course I hug her and kiss her and stuff. So she know what the affection and different things look like. So it'd be normal to her, but it'll be in a way like she knows that I know my dad loved me, but he showed me he didn't just say it, but he showed me. And then when it comes to, like I said, other me and when she do start want to get married and date and stuff, it'll be like, okay, they gotta already my dad already did the basics and a little bit more, so you got to bring more to the table. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, yeah, and I like a couple things that you said. One, just showing up and being that example, and that was important to me also with my daughter, especially
Mhm.
after me and her mom
Yeah.
got divorced and separated. And later on, I ended up remarrying. And so
Mhm.
even in that, I wanted to be the example to her with, my relationship with her mom, even though we were
Mhm.
divorced, still showing her respect, still
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
saying anything down to her.
Yeah.
And then even, after I remarried, my relationship with her stepmom, still respecting her and showing her that same respect, so that whether it was looking at my relationship with her mom or my relationship with her stepmom, I'm
Mhm.
showing you, look, this is how you're supposed to be treated by any man. It don't matter how that works out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you're
Mhm.
supposed to be respected. And so that was really important to me, to make sure that I show up, in that way. And another thing that you said, you talked about the affirmations, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the
Yeah.
next segment when we talk about
Yeah.
the core four. But definitely speaking that life over your daughter, and being that example for those things that she's exposed to, so that when gentlemen from the outside do
Yeah.
eventually try to come, yeah, you already set the bar. So it's like, yeah, I'm used to that. What else you got? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like, you
Right.
just can't walk up here with some chocolate and a teddy bear and think you
Yeah.
in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, no, you're gonna have to come harder than that. And so, and another thing that you mentioned too, that I think is good to mention, because I had this in a conversation with someone else, talking about emotions and men with their emotions, to be able to show emotion and be emotional without, looking at it as being weak. And so I was
Mhm.
having this conversation with someone, and I was telling them not only do we have to, kind of change the wording and the narrative when we're dealing with our sons, because we, as you probably
Yeah,
was raised the
yeah,
same as I'm, like, be strong, which,
yeah,
don't
yeah.
cry and all that. Like,
Mhm.
no, you can cry. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it has nothing to do with your masculinity, and it has nothing
Right.
to do with your
Right.
strength. It actually takes more strength, more inner strength, to be able to show your emotions, and be able to stand up and be that person, And so we got to change the narrative with our sons, but then we have to change it with our daughters too, so that as
Mhm.
they become women, they don't look down on, the men in their lives if they are emotional, that
Right.
they don't see it as
Right.
a sign of
Yeah.
weakness. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it kind of
Mhm.
got to go both ways. We got to
I'm
teach
a,
our sons that it's okay, but we got to teach our daughters it's okay too, because as you may know, as we get older, sometimes if you're dealing with, sometimes women, you say something and it comes back up later. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Or you're
yeah,
vulnerable
yeah,
in the space and it comes
yeah.
back up.
Mhm.
So, we got to teach our daughters, hey, it's okay for, the men in your life to be emotional, and you got to give them that space. You
Right.
got to give them, that open space to express themselves and however they're feeling, and you not tear them down. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So yeah, I just wanted to hit that because I think that's important.
And I'll say this is important too, in showing her how a healed man regulate his emotions.
Hmm.
Because most of the time, like, I know for me, I've definitely done this in relationships. I'll show up in a way of like I don't even know how to regulate my own emotions due to me not being healed, and I'm gonna be mad, I'm gonna be angry and upset, and then the women I was with, they never had a show me a safe space, if I could put it like that, to
Hmm.
be able to wear
Right,
my emotions.
right.
I want to be able to show her like daddy know how to regulate his emotions, and when she sees a man that's like out of order or he's just all emotional but he don't know how to regulate, I like, oh man, I seen my dad do this because that's the example I seen. So it's like, oh, that's what they say, what they call it, red flags. You know what I'm saying,
Mhm,
these
yeah.
days. And you get to see, they're like, okay, all right, well, my dad know, even though he feel his emotions, but he's not lashing out on me. He's not cussing me out. He's not bringing me down. But he showed me that he still loved me. But he expressed himself. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I think that's important that we, teach our daughters that again, and teach our sons that we kind of change
yeah,
that narrative, that
mhm,
it's okay for us to be able to be vulnerable,
yeah,
and then even with this space, one of the other things that I'm very vocal on is creating a safe space for men,
yeah,
to be able to say how they feel, and say their emotion, be okay with expressing it amongst ourselves, because
mhm,
we also have to change the narrative,
yeah,
because those of us that already are adults, we some of us grew up in that time frame where that was how we was taught,
yeah,
suck it up, be a man, don't cry. And so we grew up with that, and so now we're holding in, things that we need to be able to talk to somebody about. And so now that's one of the things that I do. I'm very vocal about, sharing my wins and losses and whatever I'm going through, so that the
yeah,
next brother that I'm talking to knows that it's okay for him to share,
yeah,
and so we start having those conversations that, we probably wouldn't necessarily have,
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? But it's just because we don't feel safe, and so sometimes we have to be the one to initiate the conversation to let the other brothers know, like, yeah, it's all right, what I mean? It's
yeah.
all right. Let's talk about it,
Yeah, it's okay
and
to be vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable. We good. It's a safe space here. Because I actually read this book called um, s- uh, safe people. So that really changed my life too. About like how people are like, even I had prime example. I was reading a book and I ended up having a conversation with my mom because I seen that Kurt Franklin documentary that touched me a lot, and I saw
yeah,
the part where his mom and all this stuff, and they're going through that, and I saw, like, I said, yo, I need to have a conversation with my mom, and we'll navigate through that or whatever, and that really helped me. And I told, like, when my mom was talking, and I told her, I said, I felt like my whole life, because I was growing up, I had my mom and I had three sisters, so I was with all women. So I had to tell her, I had really had to be real, and even like the women I've dated and married per se, um, it was like I said, my mom, I told her, I said, man, and I had to be real honest with myself, but I didn't know that this is how I really felt, but I had to be honest with her. I said, I never felt safe with women. I never felt safe. Like, and that was so pivotal for me. Even though I could be a safe, I learned like I gotta be a safe space and stuff like that. But I never felt safe with women. And it was like, yo, that was so deep and pivotal for me. And I was like, I didn't know I could go there, but it was really good to just release it off
Yeah.
my chest. So yeah, so and me also working on my healing also it's been to the point like when me and her mom had went through divorce and separation stuff. My daughter was trying to like figure things out, and she was like going through her stuff at the time while she was younger. And I noticed that when I started going to therapy and stuff, I noticed she was like acting out and doing all these things and whatever she was going with through school. And I was like, what is this? So I took a step back and I was like, oh, she's going through this stuff because of what happened between me and her mom. So then I said, oh, let's start. So I started getting her in therapy herself so she can start regulating her emotions and start that process. And like yesterday, I had talked to, I know I talked to her this morning. And she was like, because I'm trying to find her another therapist. She asked me, she said, Daddy, she reminded me today, she said, Daddy, she said, we going to therapy? And and she was like, we going to therapy, but also, Daddy, you know you need to find another therapist for me. She reminded me, I was like, I'm sorry, baby. I got you. I got you. Because even in therapy, it really, me going with her to play therapy, it has helped me to see myself like I didn't know parts of me as a little boy that I didn't get, and I was noticing like it was a situation when we was on the floor. I was playing with her while she was in therapy, and I noticed like when she was trying to open up something, and I was like all of a sudden I try to like help her and like just step in, and I was noticed like wow, like this was a pattern for me. Like I'm used to saving women or trying to what I mean I didn't even allow her to even not even say fall, but I didn't even allow her. I just like let me just go ahead
Yeah.
and help you.
Yeah.
And it's like I felt, and I didn't know how much I felt. It was so healing for me. And the stuff that I see with her inside, I'm like, wow, like this is how I'm showing up. But also, it
Yeah.
was healing for me and her to bond like that and stuff like that. So it was cool because I was healing myself too. So yeah.
Yeah, man, and I love that, and I'm definitely an advocate for therapy. You know what I'm saying? And I mention that every time I get a chance. I'm an advocate for it. And also we don't have to choose. You got church and you got therapy. We
Right,
need
right.
both, right?
You can go
We got our
Jesus and
spiritual man.
therapy. Yeah.
We got our spiritual man and our natural man. We need help for both of them. You know
Right,
what I'm
right,
saying? We need to talk
right,
to somebody else
right,
for both of them, right? So I'm
right.
I'm very big on therapy, man, and I'm glad that you definitely had that breakthrough, and that's why I'm even myself, like I said, I'm big on therapy, um, because we don't know what we don't know. And a
Mhm.
lot of times we're carrying stuff, we're dealing with stuff, and we don't even recognize that we're dealing with it, or just carrying it, like you said, carrying something from your childhood. And I tell you what, I know I mentioned about my divorce. One of the things also that I realized going through my divorce as I was learning about what kind of was the core root causes. I realized that I had some things that I still was dealing with from
Mhm.
when I was little. And one uh just to be vulnerable, when I was younger, it was like light skin was in, right?
You're right.
And so me being a dark skinned brother, it was like I was always on the outside, you know what I mean? And so growing up with that and feeling like, almost like not good enough almost because, just during that time period that I didn't even recognize that still played a part in me
Mhm.
as an adult. Cause I was like, I'm attracted to dark skinned women, but I
Right,
realized that was because when I was coming up, light skin was in. And it was like, oh, the light skinned girls wanted to talk to light skinned dudes.
right,
So in
right,
my mind, I was like, well, I'm going to go talk to dark skinned girls. You know
right,
what I'm saying? So
right,
even
right.
as an adult, I'm like, oh, I'm attracted to dark skinned women. It's like, yeah, because part of you still not healed. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Part of you
Right.
still haven't addressed the fact that, not only that you may be attracted to them, but you're only attracted to them because part of you still feel like you're not good enough for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm definitely big on therapy, man. And we learn all this stuff. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
start unpacking it and going back into your childhood, all this stuff comes back up, man. And so again, that's why I love this conversation, and I love this podcast to be able to have these conversations that we as men sometimes don't have. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I'm very appreciative for you
Yeah.
for even mentioning about you and your daughter going to therapy.
Yeah.
I know one of my first guests that I had on was a friend of mine, and his daughter at the time when we recorded, his daughter was only like 2 months. Like he was a brand new father, but one of
Wow.
the things him and his wife decided to do, that they both would go to therapy so that they weren't passing any unhealed traumas
Mhm.
on to their daughter, because this was their first child and they wanted to do it right, and wanted to come in heal themselves, as a unit. And I thought that was awesome, so definitely want to hit congratulate and honor all of the men that's stepping out and doing this therapy thing, because we need it. We need it. We
Yeah.
ain't got to hold everything in. We can let some things out. And when you start letting things out, you'll be surprised what you find that's hidden down
Yeah.
in there, right?
That unpacking, man, it's woo, that unpacking. And I knew when I was in therapy too, I was talking about some stuff in therapy, and my therapist at the time, well, we still my therapist now, but he said, yo, you never growing up, you never felt like you was enough. And I said, I said that changed my life, and from there, that's how my business came out of, like him saying that I'm enough, because I never heard that from my whole life. I'm trying to prove to people. I'm trying to fit in groups and shrink myself and all these things like that, and then it ended up shrinking my voice, and not being seen and heard and all these things like that. So when he said I'm enough, it sparked something. I woke up every day saying I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm enough. And most men, we don't hear that. We don't even hear I'm appreciated. And
Right.
to hear that I'm enough, I'm loved, I'm cared for, we don't hear these positive things. And it was different for me to hear. Well, yeah, it was different for me to hear it from a man, like to say it. It was totally different. But also, like I stayed with my dad, so he showed me love in his way. I mean, we talked, like we was pretty close anyway, but I never heard him um speak it over me. Like I never heard him say it. He done a lot. He worked and stuff and try to provide, but it's a difference when you hear it. And a boy, because we always looking for that affirmation from my dad. Anyway, I feel like as dads, we we give that stamp of approval, and then also too, we give them the authority to be them, but also we when we speak life over them, it just hit different than the mom would do, because it's like, okay, my dad said this, that got to be real, like it got to be real. So it was like, when he said that, I was like, yo, I just woke up and said I'm enough, and then I end up doing a YouTube. I mean, no, like I was just going in, like just started, just like, yo, this is what lane I want. I found myself, and it was just like that's where my coaching came in with being an affirmation coach, and I started to become what I wanted to be, and then I started to track what I wanted to become. So that's where all that came from. But yeah, like I would tell like any man, I'm saying, I want to tell them, you are enough, brother. You are enough to be what you want to be. You are enough to show up. You're the best dad. You are the dad that you're supposed to be, the best version of you. Like, keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop it. Keep growing, evolving, and changing, because it is for your daughter and it's for yourself. Because when you show up, it hit different. It's totally different. And people, there's gonna be so used to the old you that you got to keep, you gonna be evolving and changing. They're gonna be like, who is this guy? And your daughter gonna love you because you are showing her the best version of you. And it's gonna be hard, but I'm telling you, guys, you are enough. Brothers, you are enough. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep going. Don't change for nobody. I don't care what people say about you, because you're doing it. Don't give up, man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and we can't end that part no better than that. So I'm gonna leave that right there. So we gonna
Yeah,
make,
man.
we gonna make a transition real quick to our second segment of the podcast, which is called our Getting to the Core segment, right? And so to my audience, we have a ebook that I wrote called The Four Core, which is the
Mhm.
four core values that every daughter should get her from her father. And you guys can get your copy of the ebook at ebooksbyejames.com. That's the core four, the four core values that every daughter should get from her father. And again, that's at ebooksbyejames.com, as well as several other ebooks that I've written that's on that website as well. But we're going to talk about the four core because I sent it to you as I do with all my guests so that they can, kind of read over it. So to my listeners, in case you guys don't know, the four core values are guidance, affirmation,
Mhm.
love and affection, and protection. And
Yeah.
so, Jonathan, in your own, I kind of probably know the answer, but in your own view of those four core values, which one do you feel is more important to you to instill in your daughter?
Really, mine's of them words of affirmation. The reason why I say that is more because it's kind of like what God did when in the Bible when he spoke it and it just became. So I literally take that as like I said, you become what you are and you attract what you want to become. So if I tell my daughter every day she's beautiful, she's kind, she's anointed, she's a queen, she's gonna start believing that and she's gonna start becoming it, and it's gonna be like automatic. And I even had to do that to myself in certain situations. Me being a man, I had to say, "Oh, you're a man of God." Like I said, you are enough. You are. You. I had to the point I had to say, "You are a good dad.
Mm-hmm.
You are a good dad. You're showing up today. I'm proud of you." Like I had to say these things too because when we go through this adversity, especially you go through separation, divorce, and it's like you go through that period of like, yo, this is hard, and I still got to be a dad. We because when you split, you don't want to split, and you have the kid. That makes it even more. It's a difference when you don't have the child. You can just go your separate ways, but you got a mini me
Yeah.
that's like looking up to you still, and it's like she wanna like why dad ain't in the household, or she got remarried and it's she gonna navigate this all through her head, and it's like yeah I had to be there for her, but I really like speak life over her as much as and even me praying for her is speaking life over her too. So that's what I had to do, and the other things will follow. The other things will follow. So whatever you honing into, that's your thing, but the other things will follow, but speaking life like how God did for us, because when he spoke man into existence and we just became, and now we're here today. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to touch on something you said real quick about when you're going through those separations and your children are seeing that, you know what I mean? And so just as much as it's hard for you, to go through a divorce and all of that, it's hard for them too,
Mm-hmm.
but even probably even a little worse in their case because they have no control. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like you can choose to stay and you can choose to go, and whichever one you choose, you can feel validated in your choice. But
Right.
them as a child, they have no voice.
Right.
They have no say in the matter. It's like they're at the mercy of whatever their parents do. So
Right.
I definitely wanted to mention that so that we as fathers definitely take that in consideration. How we portray ourselves and how we carry ourselves in the midst of those things. So I want to touch on that. So last question before we get out of here. So we asked about the core for values, and I know affirmation is, like I said, I kind of figured I knew what you was gonna
Yeah.
say.
Right.
But so my thing was the core four values. But if there was a fifth value that you can add, from your own experience, your own mind, your own heart, what would that fifth value be?
I think it will be it would be love. Yeah. No, yeah, it would be well, that's top two. It would be love, it would be grace. I'm gonna say grace. Because the reason why I say grace is because like in any situation, you need grace to give the person room to grow. Cause even with my daughter, she have her moments. She have her times where she want to deal with me and she don't want to deal with me. So I have to give her grace enough to grow in the process, even when she's going through therapy. And remember, Grace, and remember she's human too. Like she's a child. Like she's a child. She's human. So I have to give her grace in areas, and also give myself grace too, and give her mom grace, even though you know how that be, but give them grace to to navigate through what they need to navigate through, so we can all be in peace and harmony. And we have our ups and downs we go through, but and communicating and all these things. But grace is a big thing. That we're still human and we're gonna make mistakes, but also we try to do the best we can with the situation, especially when it's separation and divorce and trying to navigate. You try to navigate, they try to navigate, everybody try to navigate through it. And it can be a tough situation, but just give each other grace to be able to continue to keep going and doing what you're doing, because it just could be hard. It just be very tough, very very tough. So,
Right, right.
I did want to say, I want to say something to you. I just want to say thank you and I appreciate you. So continue what you're doing, keep going, don't stop, don't let nobody say nothing. And I believe in this podcast because it's going to touch lives. So continue to make this impact and change. And remember, you are enough, brother. Like you are enough. Just continue to keep showing up, keep being who you are, and being the best version of yourself. And you are cared for. You are loved. You are anointed for a time like this. So keep going, keep changing, evolving, and growing, because you are what God is telling you to do. Like you're doing a great job. That's what I want to say.
I appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. I was going to actually leave us with the last word. I think you might have gave it to us. But I tell you what, just real quick, if you can, think of something to leave our fathers with, um, that they can take away from even everything that we've said, tonight, which I think is we've hit some key areas tonight. So just take a second, think about something that you want to leave our fathers with, because I always like to have my guests have the last word, and so I'll give you some time to think about that. To my listeners, man, first of all, thank you guys for tuning in again to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Make sure that you guys are checking us out at our website. Our main website is the dealhealfulfill.org. That's dealhealfulfill.org. That's our main website where you find out more stuff about what I have going on, including speaking as a professional speaker, public speaker, however you want to say it, as a speaker, as a podcaster, as a workshop host, different things that I have going on, as well as the ebooks. You can also go to ebooksbyejames.com. Make sure you guys are checking that out. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com. And also our Deal to Heal teas, everything we got going on. If you go to our main website, the dealhealfulfill.org, you will definitely be able to find that, the links to check out everything we got going on. Also, subscribe to our text line. Text the word subscribe to the number 866-326-0730 to receive text messages about new episodes, ebook releases, event information, and all of that. And I've been blessed to be a part of a organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops every quarter of the year. And we talk about forgiveness, what it is, what it's not, who is it for, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. And we do that every quarter of the year. So 4 times a year, we have a free virtual workshop. So whenever you're listening to this, either one just ended or one is coming up. So you guys can check that out. Go to forgivenessmission.com to find out when our next workshop will be, or you can just go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Mission on for Eventbrite in order to register. Last but not least, I told you guys I would tell you how you could win $100 from the podcast. You can win $100 from the podcast by entering our super subscriber contest. What does that mean? That means first you must subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify. After you've done those three things, text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. The contest is ongoing and is random. And once you're in, you can always win. You don't have to re-up or anything like that. Once you do it one time and you text us the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730, you can always win that $100 from the podcast. Mr. Jonathan, first of all, once again, let me say thank you. I really appreciate you for being on, to sharing with us. I definitely appreciate your kind words for myself. And I want you to have the last word. So the floor is yours.
I just want to say to the men, just thank you. Continue to keep growing, evolving, and changing. But what I want to say is you didn't lose, you just got better. You didn't lose, but you just got better. And also, you didn't lose, you just learned the lesson. So continue to learn the lessons throughout what you're going through, because the lessons is the blessing. Because sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm just doing this, so I'm just going through all this, but it's really a blessing because now you're learning character now. You're learning character, you're learning things about yourself, but also now you're showing up in a way where people see you different because you're evolving and changing and continue to grow. Continue to hone in on the things that you love and love yourself enough. When things no longer serve you, just let them go. Just let them go and continue to be you, your authentic self. And you owe it to yourself to be the best version of you. Because when it's kind of like when you're pouring into a cup that's empty, you can't serve nobody. You want to serve out the overflow. So keep growing, keep changing, keep evolving, keep being your authentic self and being you. And make sure you love yourself enough to continue to be you. It doesn't matter what people say, what they think about you. Just be you at the end of the day. Because God loves you for who you are. And also, even though people want to put you to the side, but don't worry about that. But I'm gonna say, brothers, you got it this time. And your daughter's gonna love you continuously, and whoever's in your vicinity and the people that's respect you and your responsibilities, you got it. You got it this time. I'm gonna say you got it this time. It don't matter what the other times happen, you got it this time. That's why I'll leave with y'all today.
All right, all right. And we can't end it no better than that. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. And until next time, you guys be blessed.